I want to say thank you to the Aspen Institute for having me and for inviting me to share space with the Aspen Young Leaders Fellowship community. My name is Sharhonda Bossier, and I am the founding Deputy Director and current CEO of Education Leaders of Color, EdLoc. I am an organizer, activist, runner, and educator, and I'm so very excited to be with you today. I will tell you honestly, I struggled with what to say in the midst of my own grief and in a moment that has taken so much from all of us. I didn't know what I could say, what I could offer that would feel good, motivating, or inspirational. And so, as I often do in these moments, I turned to my community. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine and a fellow activist, Brittany Packnett Cunningham. And I said to Brittany, I said, girl, I feel like I'm talking to a group of people who are running into a burning building and I don't even have water to offer. All I have is a high five. And she said something to me that was very helpful. She said, you know, you should just validate that the building is burning and that they're damn heroes for choosing to run toward the danger. That's superhero work. And she's right. You all are superheroes, and you're choosing to run toward the danger. You're choosing to attempt the impossible. I am already so inspired by the steps each of you is taking to affect change and action in your communities. It really, truly is no small thing to choose community, to choose action, and I applaud you. You know, community is a word I think about often in my work, in my personal life, and in my advocacy. And I think it's a word that so many of us are thinking about even more in the midst of a pandemic, a climate crisis, racial uprisings, and just so much more that is happening in the world right now. As we all do, I belong to so many intersecting, and sometimes it can feel like competing communities, that sometimes it's overwhelming to think about where to start when there are so many people and so much need. I think about how my grandparents who left the South during the Great Migration taught me to define community, how they taught me to think of myself as connected with the folks back home in Louisiana, the folks on my block in Watts, where I grew up, and the folks who looked like me across the world. Everywhere, they taught me to see community, what I could give to the community, what it could give me, and what I owed the people who were part of my community. A few years ago, I moved back to my hometown, my first community, Los Angeles. I left home at 17 to go to college. And in the decade since I'd left, so many things had changed about the community that raised me, and so much had changed with and for me. I had to really pause and think about where I fit into it now. I spent a couple of years finding my footing as a returning community member in my old city. And then the pandemic hit. And the first thing I did, almost without thinking, was fall back onto the skills and values that this community has already given me. You see, I first became an organizer as a high schooler in this very community because I had educators who saw potential in me, who helped me channel my anger into purpose. And so, when it was time to get food to people who were losing their jobs because of COVID, I contacted organizers and mutual aid organizations in this city that were feeding people directly. When the killings of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Ahmaud Arbery sparked a fire of racial uprisings last year, I got out into the streets and I protested. I showed up for the people who were part of my broader community by standing in solidarity with their families in their calls for justice. I now have so much more privilege and money than I did when I was a teenager in Watts. I leveraged those resources to support the people who are on the ground and in the streets every day. At every step, I am reminded that not only do I have a set of skills that can support my community in the most difficult of times, but that I have a part to play no matter how close or far away I am from where I started. Each of you were leaders well before you joined the Aspen Young Leaders Fellowship. Each of you has a role in your many communities that makes it important for you to join this fellowship, to build your skills and to bring resources back to the communities you love, the communities that raised you. The circumstances can feel so overwhelming, so defeating. Like I said, it can really be hard to know where to start. But the skills you've honed over the past several months of this fellowship are yours for the rest of your life. You can call on them. You can leverage them. You can build and rebuild any community you make yourself a part of. Yes, you are powerful alone, but you are infinitely more powerful when you leverage the fullness of your identity, experiences, and resources in deep community with others. And so I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for choosing yourselves and your communities. Thank you for every time you pushed past a no in defense of your dream and your community. Thank you for believing and fighting for justice. Thank you for stepping up to provide meaningful, life-changing opportunities for young people like you, like me, like us. Yes, you are attempting to do the impossible. You are literally fighting to bend the moral arc of the universe more quickly towards justice. Yes, you are running towards the danger, but you are not alone. Whether you are in the Delta, Chicago, or St. Louis, you are part of a community that sees you, values you, supports you, and needs you. If the past 2 years have taught me anything, it's that the impossible is possible with community. I hope you leave here today feeling the love and support of this community. I hope you leave here today feeling every bit of the superhero you are. I hope you leave here today knowing that as you attempt the impossible, this community has your back. Thank you.